Hi, Harvey. So good to see
Hey Finn,
you. Thank you so much for
thank you for having me.
yeah, this is great. And I'm excited to talk about China and what you all are doing there. It sounds so exciting. And so tell me a little bit about you and what you are doing with with the Monkey King and what plans you guys have going.
Yeah, of course. So again, my name is Harvey, and one of the founders and partners at the Monkey King is a new and up and coming restaurant in Bushwick, Brooklyn. We're anticipated to open hopefully this fall. And one of the things that we want to focus on is kind of a local version of what we interpret as Chinese food. Like we want to be able to infuse a lot of the Asian cuisines, a lot of our Asian backgrounds, and traditions into a New York type of setting. By using highly seasonal ingredients, local ingredients, and kind of creating a little bit more of our own regional style food.
Hmm. That sounds exciting. And I mean, there's just so much to unpack there. So tell me a little bit about how did the passion for this is cultural expertise, um, this is cultural expression start?
Mhm. Yeah. So I mean, I'll just speak on on behalf specific to myself. My other partners definitely have their own respective intentions and passions. For what drove them to want to come on board on this project. But for me, it's always been a matter of kind of legacy. My mom and my dad. My dad is a certified executive chef. He's been classically trained in French cuisine. Went to culinary school, and growing up as the firstborn, as a first generation Asian Chinese American specifically, I've seen the progression and the hard work and dedication and motivation that and the ambition that my parents had coming up over the years from a small takeout in Brooklyn to what they have now. And as my parents are getting older, we were never really born with any family crest or any sort of heirlooms. And I personally kind of felt like when all this is boiled down, like our legacy is the hard work of that my family and my forefathers have put into everything that every business that they have started, and that's a tradition that I would like to uphold and pass forward for all future generations.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. And actually, going back, and we'll get into the family a bit too. But going back to your team, you mentioned you've got a team that you guys are you're all opening the Monkey King brick and mortar
Yeah.
this fall. So tell me a little bit about them and kind of their influences too, when it comes to what you all hope to present this as being kind of a vehicle leveraging really food's impact on society. Like, it sounds like this is what you all are, what you're looking to do, and just based even on your family background, and you mentioned this being a legacy that you're continuing.
Mhm.
So how do you feel that you all are kind of synergizing that?
Yeah, of course. My other partners is Munzi Yuden, Sheldon Wong, as well as Tony Gu. And so Munzi will be, helping me in terms of the actual positions. Munzi will be helping out in the front of house. Uh, Sheldon will be in charge of our our curated cocktail program, and Tony will be in charge of, he'll be our in-house som and in charge of our wine program. So I think, we all came together, because of the shared vision of wanting to, I guess, change the perception or the understanding of what Chinese food is or Chinese dining is in New York. And, and we saw a shared vision in wanting to do something greater than what is available right now, and I think that I have a personal connection. We all have a personal connection to all of the restaurants that are available that are from our cuisine right now. However, I don't think there's really anything out there for us personally right now that really embodies kind of our entire upbringing as New Yorkers, as Asian Americans. And that's when we kind of decided to take it into our own hands and make, bring the Monkey King to life and have that be the embodiment of everything that all our experiences, our bringings, and and our dreams for the future.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. You guys have I mean, it sounds like you've got a great team, you've got a great vision, and the fact that you are taking this beyond just, food as nourishment, right? Like you're
Right.
truly a vehicle. And I read that it's essentially standing on a platform to share and to encourage and to uh, you know test yourselves, but also test what you know, and to bring that forward and bring it to life, and then really have it reflect, like you said, what you all stand for, and then making it a statement for what you as Asian Americans embody. So,
Hmm.
I know that your tagline is culture is meant to be shared. Is that right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of
Yes.
speaks to that, and the fact that you want to do something meaningful for the culture in that way, is really important, and it speaks volumes too. And that kind of gets into, if we look at the menu, right, or the cultural story behind your menu choices,
Hmm.
um, how do you feel that that's characterized in the different regional, um, like the different regions in China, right?
Yeah.
You want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. What we're trying to offer is a little bit of some of the best dishes that we personally have had in New York, as well as going back to China, visiting. That my trip to China definitely was kind of a life-changing experience. I think that uh, for the Monkey King, it's again, so in so many ways the vehicle that represents our entire upbringing and our culture and what we're trying to put out. And yes, we have these aspirations to be a platform, to be a voice within this within our community, but selfishly is also an opportunity for me to be able to preserve some of the best things that I've come to find within my culture and my cuisine. I view myself as a little bit of a, I guess, culinary historian, specifically for Chinese food, and and this is kind of my trips to China, my trips, eating out, at other Chinese restaurants, my experiences with eating at home with my family, my extended family. These are all little bits and pieces of my experience, and um, we want to be able to preserve that. I don't personally cook, and that's why I want to be able to be in a position to preserve and share exactly that. Because food is, I think, the universal unifier, and
Mhm.
hence our tagline of culture is meant to be shared.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that you are, you're starting off that, I mean, how great is it that there's that, and it kind of echoes into the culture itself. From what, the very little I know is, again, when you think of the decorum and the etiquette behind the culture, the Asian American culture, Chinese culture, is that the fact that you're leading with that is that it's about preservation and homage, paying homage and respect, and
Mm-hmm.
cherishing the tradition that you grew up with, but also, you and your team, you're marrying that with your own unique experiences, and making that your unique craft. That then the Monkey King becomes that vehicle for, and your dishes then represent all of that. And so I feel like you have it in the right order. So you're
Yeah.
leading with heart, and you're leading with what you all like, from the passion that you all have,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're presenting that to everyone so that they they learn, so that they're stepping into your shoes then, and by inspiring people through those things, you're inspiring them to get to know things and to try things and to understand and to learn, and not accept things, like I'm using the words that I learned from you all, not accepting things as face value. So stepping out of their own comfort zone and taking that time to get to know more about China through you as a portal into that.
Right, almost like a window in a way. And Jane, thank you so much for the kind words. And I think that uh the act of inspiration, I think, is definitely on the top of our list. Like, it's, I think, um you know we aspire to, if we can inspire somebody, I think that that we think that we've done our job, and I think that um, if we're able to, I think ultimately, what we just want to do is to have a space where we can at least have the conversation, like have an opportunity to be able to educate and talk with another consumer or a customer or a guest, and just again, be able to show them a little bit of us, of our culture, and be able to kind of lead with our best foot forward, and I think that again, there's no better way to do that, other than over food, outside of of that and then food. So that's kind of the goal.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And what better place than New York City, which is home to, so many different cultures, and that gives you that ability to be creative and to do that, and to showcase all of that represent you and your team. So that's really wonderful, that's the heart of what you all are doing. So what do you feel, going into a bit of so think of defining qualities. I know we talked a little bit, you mentioned family, you mentioned tradition. Let's get into a bit of the defining qualities of what your vision is for the restaurant, and compared to having it in China. Whether it's
Mm-hmm.
regionally
Mm-hmm.
or culturally, the way that things are presented or served, or so,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we, and me specifically, made the conscious decision to not want to, I guess, open up, a restaurant that, was just regional Chinese from, a region in China. I think that, and our reason for doing that, and my reason for doing that, is because of the fact that that's not something that is that resonates with me personally, right? Like I am Chinese. My family, our motherland is from China. Like is China, and specifically Guangzhou. But I was born here, and for me to do a regional Chinese restaurant in New York, where there's so much competition and so much, so many offerings and choices. Like I just, I and along with my team wanted to do something that was authentic to us, and as inauthentic as New York style Chinese food is, that's authentic to us because that's what we grew up on, and and in many ways, I think we fail to recognize the fact that it is something regional to us. It's New York regional, right? And it's New York regional Chinese food. So that's kind of what we want to create.
right. Yeah, no, that's really great. And you know what, that echoes back to what you were saying. Your influences. I mean, you're born here, so
Mm-hmm.
you're essentially does become a bridge to what has influenced your upbringing.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're finding this way to marry, the tradition and the culture with what it means to be Asian American,
Mm-hmm.
and that you're finding this creative way to do it. Good for you. I mean, that is authentic. That's genuine.
Yeah.
That's a way for it to really come from the heart of you and your team, and for people to get to know you and how you represent the culture. And actually, it's not much different than even, you think about like walking into different people's homes, right?
Yeah.
Everything's going to slightly vary. It's not going to be the exact recipe or the exact, ingredients. There's that ability to innovate. And
Mm-hmm.
so, even though, that's true, I'm sure, over in China, whether it's regional or little, big cities, little villages, what have you, right? So the fact that, being in New York City, it's almost like it's if you didn't draw a border around it, that ability should exist there too, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think using what is available, locally to us, regionally to us, and kind of being able to adapt to, you know, our environment and our surroundings, and have our food represent that. And that's like what we're trying to do. Like it is a little bit of an homage, and and an effort to keep up the traditional way of how these dishes are prepared. Because there is an importance in that, right? Like this is part of the step of, and my personal, I guess, learning experience and journey, and to learning more about my own personal culture. I think that there's a lot of power that comes with being connected with your mother culture. And I think for a long time as an Asian American, I was to some degree disconnected from that. And I think, just speaking about your question earlier about going back to China and this and that, I think that was almost like, I guess, I wouldn't go as far as saying it was almost an awakening, but it was kind of definitely a realization of, where I came from and an appreciation for something that, being in America, being in New York, and being around such a diverse culture and going to a country that, every face that you see is Chinese, and you're speaking the same mother tongue, and you're eating the same type of food that, you thought that you were only eating by yourself, at home with your family, and seeing that as a dominant culture, and being surrounded by that and entirely immersed in that. I think there's a great amount of beauty, and that comes with that. And I've come to appreciate that very much. And I think that, as I progress on this journey with my team and we learn more about, our mother culture, our respective mother cultures, I think that, and being able to express that and have a platform to express that through our restaurant, and being able to also share that in real time with our guests, is something that we strive for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really beautiful. And actually, let's get into that a bit more. When you did go travel over to China, where and when had you been, and what were some of your favorite things to do? I mean, obviously seeing family, but tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I've been to China multiple times, but as of recent, I went back probably close to 5 years ago. So I've had the opportunity to see, China go through this boom, from before, I guess, early on when I was younger, where China was fairly still an up and coming superpower, to now where they're I guess on par with the other superpowers of the world. And to see that change, was definitely an eye-opening experience. And I, in terms of the specific, to your question, in terms of the specific places that I visited, I've been kind of all over. When we first went to China, my parents, booked a Chinese tour around all different parts of China. So I got to experience a little bit of all the major cuisines of China that China has to offer, while also, again, being a tourist and visiting, the respective landmarks and spaces that China has, that's in China. And but as of recent, more specifically, I've been back to Guangzhou, where my family is from, and Hong Kong, where Cantonese food is also the dominant cuisine there, and kind of was going on a food journey, and kind of discovering a lot of things that were offered locally over there, but wasn't able to have. I won't be able to get over here in New York.
Yeah, no, how great is that? That's awesome that you were able to kind of get a taste of all of it, really,
Yeah.
on that trip. And no, that's so great. And let's get back to what you were saying a bit earlier too about a realization that you had. So that actually gets into this other question. What do you feel is kind of a spirit or way of life that we got into this a lot actually in this chat, but if you were kind of to boil it down as a, like, picture yourself coming back from that trip, right, or the trips that you've gone on, what do you carry back with you in terms of a spirit or way of life that you want to make sure that's retained, that energy is retained in the restaurant?
Technically speaking, I think it was the level of hospitality. I think what is offered in China currently is almost night and day compared to what is offered here in I can only really speak specifically on New York, but I'm sure it resonates with of the other Chinese restaurants across the country. But the greater majority of Chinese restaurants, whether they're, I guess, like a street hawker style stand, to some of the top Michelin restaurants and everything in between, is a level of hospitality. I think that in China, everywhere that I've dined, there's just so much competition, right? Like, so you're in China and the predominant cuisine is Chinese food, right? So like, and that's what everybody knows well, and that everybody grew up eating that cuisine. So, the consumers and the guests that are eating and dining at these restaurants are hypercritical, and I think that the level of innovation, the level of hospitality, the lengths that these restaurateurs are willing to take, and the amount of money they're willing to put into these ventures, was, I guess, very eye-opening to me in that sense, right? I think that like it was a surprise to me, especially because the last time I went back was before the boom in China, economic boom in China. So to see that, and then see and understand the perception of what Chinese food is, and how consumers view Chinese food in America, is literally night and day. And I think that technically coming back from China on that trip and come and touching down in the U.S. and New York, I think that was one of the things that I wanted to rectify, and address, with this venture. But in terms of, I guess, if you were gonna, on the flip side, emotionally, I think like, I think it was a sense of pride. I think that, to know that, that us as a people, and minorities in general, right, like are so hardworking, and they're willing to kind of, the greater majority of them are entrepreneurs, and they're able to adapt and grow from whatever is offered, whatever's within their surroundings. And that spirit of resilience, that spirit of, of ambition, is something that I think I share with my family and my forefathers, as well as the people in my motherland. And that's something that I would want to embody and carry forward.
Yeah, no, that's amazing that, that's your, part of your mission, and, the spirit that you want to carry through there with you and your team, that you want to carry through at the Monkey King. That's awesome. And so the last question, Harvey, just if we look at, we've talked a bit about the emotional side of that. If you think of the senses, so like, what do you feel that you want to use to transport guests through the senses themselves? So, you mentioned, hospitality and a sense of pride. Those are, and the resilience and ambition. Those are really strong emotional things that, for someone to walk through your doors and experience, wow, that's just a wow.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to want to come back again and again, because they're going to.
Mm-hmm.
But if we think of just, the sights and the smells of things, what do you feel is important to you and the team to kind of evoke there?
We are in a little bit of a unique space in Bushwick, where our restaurant is actually located in what used to be the loading dock area of a converted factory, a warehouse. And so we do have a little bit of an atrium space, and we have this vision of kind of playing along with the idea of the story of the Monkey King and Journey to the West. Something that a story that a tale that many Asian Americans and non-Asians definitely has grown up being aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely in some shape or form the influence of that story in other assets, in other aspects. But like with this atrium space, we wanted to make it very kind of floral and almost like jungle-like, to resonate with the origin stories of the Monkey King, where he was born in the mountains of fruits and flowers. And we wanted, and he who was not actually a monkey, but also not anything else, and he's unique to himself as an individual, was able to lead this tribe of actual monkeys to their new home, which was behind the curtain of the waterfall curtain. So like we had this vision of seeing the space in that format, and we wanted kind of this floral setting that's cool for everybody to hang out in. And then past our second storefront, where the actual restaurant would be held at, is this like kind of very relaxed, I guess upscale, elevated, not upscale, but elevated space, that you can comfortably come as you are, and as long as you're here to enjoy, listen, talk, and celebrate the present, that's the space that we would want you to be in. And I think musically, I grew up on hip hop, so that's something that we definitely want to incorporate.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
That sounds, it ties in with, the innovation in the dishes that you want to, convey, and kind of weaving out that all together, so that it's a big experience. The whole thing is an experience, like you said.
Yeah, I think definitely like we're, and this is very cliche with any restaurant. I think we all want to strive for the wow. And I think that, that is something that that aligns with us. Like we also want to strive for the wow, but I think at the end of the day, like it's something that you know we want to keep it as authentic to us. And I think that by doing that, it will eventually we could see that through and achieve what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel like that goes back to, your whole mission of challenging the accepted notions of things. So the fact that you're going to weave that story of the Monkey King through experientially for people and, not just with the menu, but, they really, you embody the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
through all of those senses. So that sounds really beautiful. And I wish you all the best as you continue down that road and, in the next few months and getting things, going. And, this is beautiful. Thank you so much, Harvey, for,
No, thank you for having me again, Shane.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to encourage everyone to follow your story and follow along as you move from, sharing your food across New York to opening up the restaurant, and the fact that you guys are already putting your hearts out there and letting people know you and what you represent. I mean, you're gonna, you're gonna just continue to succeed. So I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much.